It's good to get smacked a little, says Leon Draisaitl. After an 8-1 loss in Vancouver, can the Oilers return the favor tonight? We get you set for the Oilers and Canucks right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream pregame show. I'm your host, Tom Gazzola. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, appreciate it. Join the nasty chat if you want to get in on the conversation. And if you're listening on the audio stream, you can text us 780-218-9999. We've got a great show in store for you as the Oil look for their first win of the season, and the Oil also opening up their home schedule tonight against the Vancouver Canucks, who absolutely destroyed them in spectacular fashion on Wednesday night. We'll be joined in a little bit by Dan Murphy from Hockey Night in Canada. He'll be working ringside on the broadcast tonight, and we'll also be hearing from Matt Cassian, who makes his return. The Cass was away taking care of some business on the family side of things. Big thank you to Joaquin Gage for stepping in for him on opening night. So the Oilers 0-1, the Canucks 1-0. This is game 2. These two teams going toe-to-toe for the second time in a couple of nights, and 2 of 4 meetings already will be in the books by the end of the night between the Oilers and the Canucks, these Pacific Division rivals. We will get to some starting lineups. We'll give you starting goaltenders. We will go inside the Oilers locker room. We'll also go inside the Canucks locker room. We'll hear from Rick Tocchet one more time. We heard from him as well on Wednesday night. And, of course, we'll go inside the Oilers coaches room and hear from Jay Woodcroft. All right, having said that, let's get right into starting lineups because Murph will be joining us in a few minutes' time. For the Oilers tonight, it looks like we're going to see a couple of new faces making their season debut, one of which should be a player making his Oilers debut in the regular season. Today, we are expecting to see McDavid with Kane and Brown, Draisaitl between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, Ryan McLeod centering Dylan Holloway, who looks like he's okay and good to go after blocking that shot on Wednesday night in Vancouver, alongside Warren Fogle on that third line. And then here's where we're going to see some normality, it looks like. These are the projected lines. Derek Ryan with Matthias Janmark and the freshly signed Adam Erne. Erne, of course, coming to camp on a PTO and winning that 12th forward spot on the club, beating out Raphael Lavoie, beating out Brandon Sutter, who obviously could not continue playing and said he had to hang up his skates. So Adam Erne is indeed an Edmonton Oiler, and he is expected to make his debut in orange and blue tonight against the Canucks. On defense for the Oil, we expect to see Mattias Ekholm return to action. He has not played, of course, since Game 6 of that second-round series against the Vegas Golden Knights. Ekholm skated with Bouchard yesterday at practice. We expect him to be paired up with Bouchard yet again. That means no Nurse with Bouchard. He'll slide down to the pairing with Cody Ceci. That may be a little bit more stable considering what we witnessed the other night in Vancouver when Nurse and Bouchard had a world of trouble dealing with the Vancouver Canucks. So Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Ceci, and then we expect to see Kulak with Philip Broberg. That would be Desharnais sitting out for the Oil tonight as they're expected to go 12-6. As for the Vancouver Canucks, here is what we're anticipating from them tonight. Elias Pettersson with Andrei Kuzmenko and Connor Garland. JT Miller with Philip DiGiuseppe and Brock Besser. That line had a heyday, field day, whatever you want to call it, against the Oil on Wednesday. And then we'll see Pius Suter with Dakota Joshua and Anthony Beauvillier. Sam Lafferty centering Nils Höglander and Jack Studnicka. On defense for the Canucks, Quinn Hughes with Philip Hronek, Ian Cole with Tyler Myers, and then Akito Hirose with Noah Juleson. Out for Vancouver tonight, Ilya Mikheyev, Guillaume Brisebois, and Teddy Bluger, as well as Carson Soucy. Now, that will bring us to starting goalies. For the Edmonton Oilers, we weren't sure. Was it going to be a complete reset for the Oil after what we saw the other night? Both goaltenders getting into action. Jack Campbell did have the start, 4 goals on 16 shots. Guess what? Stuart Skinner goes in, 4 goals on 16 shots. So Jay Woodcroft did say he had a plan, and it looks like the plan is for Stuart Skinner to get the nod in goal tonight. The 24-year-old, a 29, 14, and 5 record last season, 275 goals against average, 914 save percentage, and 1 shutout in 65 games, of course, for the Calder finalist. And then all-time versus the Vancouver Canucks, Stuart Skinner has a 1-1 record, 395 GAA, 865 save percentage in those 3 appearances. Of course, that does factor in what we witnessed, the 4 goals on 16 shots the other night. So his numbers against Vancouver taking a bit of a nosedive there, but he'll look to atone for that tonight. And then at the other end of the rink, we are anticipating 32-year-old Casey DeSmith getting the nod in goal. The trade from the Penguins gives the Canucks some stability between the pipes, giving Thatcher Demko, a veteran NHL goaltender, to lean on when he is unable to go and needs a bit of a break. So DeSmith, 15, 16, and 4 last season, 317 goals against average, 905 save percentage in 38 games in 2022-2023 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, DeSmith versus the Oilers, 0-1 record, 341 GAA, 918 save percentage in 3 appearances versus Edmonton over the course of his career. All right, if you're just joining us, we thank you. If you're watching via YouTube, always appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button and join us in the nasty chat. I'll get to some of those right away. And then if you are listening to us, text us 780-218-9999. This one says, Tom, when are you coming to Toronto so I could buy you a few beers? Jerry, I don't know, but I'll let you know if I do find myself back in Toronto. So keep those texts coming in via the nasty chat, as well as our text line, 780-218-9999. I will throw out the question of the night as well. Let us know your thoughts. It's a pretty straightforward one. I feel like I know where most people are going to go with this one, but question of the night is this. Should Oilers fans be concerned with Wednesday's performance, or was it just a one-off? 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. This one from Jason says, Jack needs confidence. No, throw him right back in. I'm okay with that, honestly, Jason, but as it looks like right now, it will be Stuart Skinner. So I think we probably will see Jack Campbell when the Oilers hit the road and they go Nashville and Philly. And we'll see. I'm assuming they're going to split unless Woodcroft wants to start doing guys getting 2 out of 3 starts. And maybe it's still an open competition. We'll see how it plays out. But tonight it will be Stuart Skinner getting the nod in goal for the Oil. Of course, looking to play better than he did in Vancouver on Wednesday night. A couple of things to throw your way. It is a busy night in the National Hockey League, 14 games on the schedule. It started at 1 o'clock today. Ottawa defeated Philadelphia 5-2. Winnipeg 6-4 winners over the Florida Panthers. Right now in Boston, Nashville and the Bruins tied up at 1, 5 minutes left in the second period there. In Columbus, the Jackets leading the Rangers 4-1, 5 minutes left in the second as well. Also late in the second period, Detroit up 4-3 on Tampa. In Montreal, it's 2-0 Habs over the Hawks. Calgary and Pittsburgh late in the second period, no score there. Mini at Toronto, 4-3 now is the score. The Leafs lead it. And then on the island, 2-0, the Islanders lead the Sabres. No score in the first period in St. Louis. Kraken taking on the Blues. We got the Oil and Vancouver tonight. Colorado visits San Jose. Anaheim in Vegas. And Carolina is in LA for the late games. So a couple of scores to keep an eye on early on this season. Not a lot of great matchups tonight, to be honest with you. Kind of a dud Saturday for such a heavy schedule. Probably the best one would be this Vancouver-Edmonton matchup. Everybody wanting to see what happens with the Oilers and the Canucks after what we saw on Wednesday at Rogers Arena. Outside of that, I don't know, Chicago and Montreal, the Bedard factor. If there's a game on the schedule that you see tonight that you really like, let me know, because on Hello Hockey today, we couldn't pick one that really tickled our fancy. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us, and then you can hit us up via the nasty chat on YouTube if you're watching along. Smash that thumbs up button as well. All right. I mentioned Dan Murphy covering the Canucks. He is here with them, and you'll be able to watch him on Sportsnet broadcasts as well as Hockey Night in Canada. I had a chance to catch up with Murph not that long ago. As you'll see, he's not wearing his suit in this interview, but you'll see Murph all dolled up and ready to go tonight on the broadcast. Here he is, Dan Murphy, with myself to talk about this game tonight. Joining us now from Hockey Night in Canada and Sportsnet. Nice to say that, by the way, Dan Murphy, because back in the TSN 1260 days, Murph, we could not make this happen. So here we are working together. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I also appreciate you representing your Seattle Seahawks.
Yes, tough game tomorrow in Cincy.
Wow.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's nice we can cross-pollinate now. We're allowed.
Yes, we can. How has your stay in Edmonton been, Murph?
It's been great. I love this hotel, the JW, right next to the rink. Easy to get across. Some good restaurants around here. I do sometimes get little PTSD flashbacks, though, to the bubble playoffs. 5 weeks I spent here, 5 out of 6 weeks was a long time with no fans in that building, but I still love coming here. I think it's always an unreal atmosphere at that rink on a Saturday night. Although 8:17 puck drop should be illegal. Let's just put it that way.
I'm with you. So like they lie. All these start times are a total lie, Murph. And people are getting fed up around here, I have to admit, and I'm one of them. So thank you for being on board with this cause where we fight against these lies that are the face-off times in these games. So,
yes.
All right, Murph, it's Oilers and Canucks round 2. We saw the debacle that happened at Rogers Arena on Wednesday night. What stood out to you most about that game? Were you more surprised about how poorly the Oilers played or how well the Canucks played?
Well, I think there's one thing. There's of that game, there was only one team that can recover from an 8-1 loss. That's the Oilers. If the Canucks would have lost 8-1 in their season opener on home ice, I'm not sure where things would have gone. What surprised me, whatever could go wrong went wrong for the Oilers. I think maybe what surprised me most is the Canucks did a pretty good job defending Connor McDavid at 5-on-5. I mean, it's almost impossible to do. But they did limit his chances, considerably compared to what we've seen in the past. I think he'll be a man on fire tonight. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Vancouver to do that again. But I would say, yeah, having the JT Miller line out against his line, Hronek and Hughes did a pretty nice job as well. So to me, that was the biggest surprise, and I don't expect it happening again this evening.
Yeah. When it comes to this blue line for the Canucks, I suppose if you were to try to nitpick the Canucks roster, you look at the forwards and there's some talent there. Obviously, we know how good Pettersson is. Besser had a great night the other night. JT Miller, almost 100 points last year. Kuzmenko was great. That was a nice add as well. On the back end, is it fair to say that maybe teams this season will be looking at that blue line in Vancouver and going, that's where we can get them?
Yeah, but Tom, the back end is better than it was last year. I mean, for goodness sakes, they added Ian Cole, who, he's not flashy, but he's an NHL defenseman. They added Carson Soucy, who's not going to play tonight, could play on Tuesday in Philadelphia. And they added Filip Hronek at the deadline, basically last year, but didn't play much because he had a surgery. So I would say compared to what we've seen, this blue line has been much improved. I don't think ideally they want to play Hughes and Hronek together. They'd like to have those guys on separate pairs, but they haven't found someone to play with Quinn Hughes yet. And so I think when you look at tonight, where the danger is with no Soucy, if Jay can get that McDavid line out there against the Juleson Hirose pair, that could be trouble for Vancouver. So yeah, I think the third pair is a problem right now. But overall, this blue line, as compared to years past, is actually better for Vancouver. Although the one thing they have to do, this management, they have to find someone to play with Quinn Hughes. That is the number one task for this group.
Up front, it looks like Teddy Bluger's a no-go as well. Guillaume Brisebois, no-go. Mikheyev still nicked up. What are the Canucks getting and hoping for from a guy like Sam Lafferty, who there was some talk maybe the Oilers were interested in him last year, and he didn't end up in Edmonton. He wound up in Toronto. Now he finds himself a Canuck just being sent over there. And then Jack Studnicka looks like he's going to draw in as well. What does that fourth line look like to you, and what can it do when it's on its game?
Well, I mean, Studnicka had actually a very good camp, but he was displaced when they made the trade for Lafferty. And then, of course, the Canucks had to go 11-6 like the Oilers on opening night, and now they get Studnicka up on a recall. I think the Canucks in the past, they've blown a lot of draft picks, just send draft picks out the door, but I didn't mind this trade, a fifth round for Lafferty. He ticks a lot of boxes for Vancouver, what they need. He's a right shot guy that can win draws. He kills penalties. He brings speed, which this team doesn't have a ton of, especially with Mikheyev out of the lineup. And he has a physical style as well. So thank goodness they got him because Bluger is hurt. They're saying week to week. So already the center depth being tested. Poose Suter is playing the third line center spot. So I think that he has been a value add for Vancouver. Studnicka, I think they'd like to see him get a little more size, but he can skate as well. So I think the fourth line is decent. But Lafferty was, I think, a solid pickup for this team because he brings a lot of things that the forward group doesn't have.
Dan Murphy joining us now from Hockey Night in Canada. You can catch him on the broadcast tonight, as well as doing great work over at Sportsnet on Canucks broadcasts. Murph, between the pipes, it's going to be Stuart Skinner for the Oilers. Looks like Casey DeSmith for the Canucks. This tandem with Thatcher Demko, do you like it? Is it improved? What did they get into Smith? How much are they going to lean on him this year?
Well, I mean, I think after what happened last year, they needed some more depth in goal. I mean, we saw Demko had a nightmare start last year, and then he got hurt 1st of December. And, they had to turn to Spencer Martin and Colin Delia. And the defense was terrible. The penalty kill was terrible. Those guys got hung with the dry, and they couldn't hold the fort. I'm not going to blame it on them, but both guys clearly couldn't play at the level they needed them to. So I think Demko's going to have a bounce back season. We saw at the end of last year when Taka came in, it was the old Demko. He was brilliant down the stretch. And DeSmith is, again, if he can give them 25 to 30 starts, and go 500 in those starts, I think they'll take it. I'm a little surprised he's going tonight, but I think that Demko is probably still feeling the effects of the flu that went through the team.
Right.
We're going to give DeSmith either tonight or Tuesday, and I think they're just going to give Demko a couple more days off. So talk about throwing the guy to the wolves. First start for this team, a Saturday in Edmonton when the Oilers are ticked about what happened. Again, I don't think they wanted to go in this season with Spencer Martin as the backup. They still have Archer Silovs down that needs some seasoning in the minors. He was the MVP at the Worlds this past summer, helping lead Latvia to their first ever medal, a bronze medal. So they're hoping he can be the guy in the future. But right now, DeSmith gives them, a proven NHL caliber backup.
Murph, where is this team at with that flu bug? Because we saw Demko leave with 10 minutes left in the third period. Connor Garland left for a little bit. Is this thing running through the team? Is it getting better?
I think it's getting better. I mean, it kind of was happening right near the end of preseason. That's when I think the last preseason game is when Pettersson and Kuzmenko played, but probably shouldn't have, but they wanted to give them one game at least before going into the regular season. So that's really when it hit most of the team. So I think it's filtering through where it's pretty much done now. But there were still some guys that were dealing with it on opening night for sure.
Murph, they made Quinn Hughes the captain of this team. Why is he the right guy for the Vancouver Canucks right now?
When Horvat was traded last year, the question was, would it be Pettersson? Could it be Miller, or could it be Hughes? And Tocchet said he wanted the young guys to step up. And I think really from that point on, Hughes made it his mission to be more of a leader. I like the play. I think probably Pettersson is not quite comfortable enough with his English to speak every day. You find he always looks for the perfect thing to say, and when he can't say it, he gets upset with himself. So I don't think he was quite ready for it. Hughes is very thoughtful. He's quiet, but they have other guys who can fill the emotional role, like a JT Miller, perhaps. So I think that he was the right. They had to pick a young guy, and I think between him and Pettersson, this was the right call at this time. He's super driven, super talented. We see his brother Jack taking a leadership role in Jersey, and I think they're cut from the same cloth. They want to be the guy out front and center, and so I think it really signified the change for this team in leadership and direction, and I think they got it right.
Murph, speaking of leadership and direction, Rick Tocchet gets his first full year behind the bench with this club. I guess he can mold things with a full training camp and preseason to utilize that. To you, why is Tocchet the right guy for this team? What elements does he bring to the table that could help this team find potential playoff success or even getting to the postseason, which is the important part?
Well, I mean, first off, that they just need some stability, right? They had back-to-back years where they made in-season coaching changes. First, it was Green got fired. Boudreau came in and did a nice job, and they had to bring him back, but they just had a disastrous start last year bringing in Taka. So I think the first thing it's stability, and the second thing it's some structure. I mean, this team. Uh, it needs to play better defensively if they're going to hope to win games and hope to be in some sort of a playoff race.
Mm-hmm.
And last year with Boudreau, it's good vibes only, but it's fire wagon hockey, and they couldn't keep it up. So I think the structure is the one thing. The penalty kill is another thing. It was historically bad last year, like historically in the
Yes.
NHL. So those are the couple of things. I think that they really wanted to bring in some structure, some stability, and some more defending. And I think those are the three things that he's really trying to coach and teach. And in game one, at least, it looked like some of those staples that he preaches, the players had taken on. And you know what? I think that players are willing to do the hard things if they see it bring success. So if they have some early success doing the things Tocchet wants, I think that they'll continue to do what he wants to do because they know it can win games.
Murph, this Canucks team is on a weird road trip. I'm looking at the schedule right now. You guys are here. You're here to cover the game tonight. Then the team flies out to Philly, Tampa after that, Florida on the next Saturday, and then it wraps up in Nashville.
Yeah, 4
It's
nights in Nashville. Pray for me.
yeah. Well, I don't know what goes on in Nashville, Murph. What are you alluding to, pal? But that is kind of an odd trip right out of the gates. Do you think it'll benefit this team because the team bonding stuff, or do you think it's a bit of a detriment?
Well, I mean, at least they had a home game before, because the last 2 seasons they've gone right away 5 and 6 game road trips, and we saw
Mhm.
last year was a disaster. Right? They came back, they didn't have a win. They had multiple goal leads in every single game basically and didn't win one, and they started
Yeah.
the season 0-5-2. So it was a gong show to start last year. I think they're a little more confident this year. There's a little more depth. I don't think it's going to be a disaster like years past, but it's a tough sell, right? I mean, you want to get at least some win in your sails, and starting on the road for 5 games, even after one home game, can be tough. Philly is not great. We know
Yeah.
that, but then you've got Tampa and Florida, and Nashville's much improved. So, and starting with Edmonton. So it's not exactly a patty cake road trip either. I think if they can somehow get home, 500 or just above 500 on the road trip, they'll be happy.
Dan, is this a playoff team this year?
You know, I don't know. I just think the division is so much improved, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Edmonton is going to be there, and we know that. Vegas, I think, even though they can maybe sleepwalk a bit in the regular season this year, they're going to be there. And then what do you have? I think you have Vancouver fighting with the likes of Calgary. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Flames last year, and they just missed.
Mhm.
LA is a much improved team. They finished third last season. Seattle off to a bit of a tough start, but they're going to be good. So I think with the division being how tough it is, they're going to have to somehow displace Calgary or Seattle to get in as a wild card. It's possible. They have the game breakers, they have the goaltender, but I think they need their health. Last year, I said it was like a 25% chance to make the playoffs. This year, I'm going 50%. It's a coin
Okay.
flip, but that's a much better odds than last year. And I think that this year, as long as they don't get off to a disaster start and they're not chasing the whole season, I think they've got a puncher's chance.
Murph, we're going to end it with this. Yesterday, Leon Draisaitl said sometimes it's good to get a little smacked around, or a little smack is good. I'm not going to go into the full detail of what he was alluding to, but will a team be smacked around tonight at Rogers Place?
Well, I mean, I think the Oilers are going to be out for blood. I don't think you'll see things go off the rails like they did the last game. I think we saw McDavid being a little angry that PP1 was being rolled out there in the third period. So I think there's going to be in the bonnet of the Oilers. And with DeSmith and net, I mean, I don't think we're going to see the Oilers get spanked. Is there a possibility that it happened to the Canucks? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I expect to be there some fireworks, whether it's goals or physicality or something else, because a home opener after you lose 8-1, I expect the home team to come out on fire.
Murph, thanks for doing this. We'll see what happens on the ice tonight. Have a great broadcast, my friend.
Okay, sir. Good talking to you, Tommy.
All right, there you go. There's Dan Murphy from Sportsnet. I lied, actually. Murph is not on the broadcast. It's Scott Oak. So I apologize to Murph and to anyone that had hopes of seeing him on the show tonight. Murph has an easy, casual Saturday night here in Edmonton. All right, I'm going to throw out the question of the night one more time. Should Oilers fans be concerned with Wednesday's performance, or was it just a one-off? Let us know your thoughts. 780-218-9999 via the text line, or you can hit us up in the nasty chat. I love how you guys are inviting me to your cities to go for beers, and it's multiple beers. So I'll definitely make a note of that. I'd love to go to Denver, and I'd love to go to Toronto. So thank you guys. Appreciate that. Your thoughts on the question of the night: should Oilers fans be concerned with Wednesday's performance, or was it just a one-off? I'll go to Sticky Dave. Good to hear from Sticky Dave via the inbox. Says, Tommy, I am worried about the Oilers. That was a bad omen. Signed, Sticky Dave. P.S. Welcome back. Sticky Dave, good to hear from you, pal. I disagree. I think it was good to get that dose of cold water and be doused with it right off the hop. Maybe get knocked off your high horse, dust yourself off, and then get right back at it. And the beauty of this situation with them playing the Canucks in back-to-back, in this back-to-back situation, is they can go right after the Canucks and try to atone for what we witnessed on Wednesday night. All right, keep those texts coming in. I will get to a bunch of them. All the nasties, I think, are talking to each other a little bit as well. When we return, it will be Matt Cassian with Game Changers. This is the Oil Stream pregame show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk.
The Nielsen Show.
You know, on airplanes, WestJet lately, in the little snack box they give you, a little chocolate in there. It's called Awake. Have you seen this Awake chocolate? And it comes with caffeine in it. So I've been taking those and pretending it's like a real kick. Yeah. I was just like, oh, here we go.
Under the tongue and away we go.
Yeah, I turn around to the rest of the plane. I say, it's about to go down. And I open up and I eat this Awake chocolate. Hey, Dusty, yelling it's about to go down on a plane is probably not a good thing. That's a good point.
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings at 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio, Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm your host, Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev, and Matthew Iwanek holding things down back at EST Studios. I am in the satellite studios in my home, which is convenient, and I can whip over to the game shortly after this show concludes once we get you up to speed on what's going on between the Oilers and the Canucks. Also join us for the Oil Stream post-game show right after the game ends, and we will break down all of the night's action. Let's welcome in our game analyst, the one and only Matt Cassian. There he is, fresh from his trip to Minnesota. Cass, welcome back, pal. How was your trip? Probably good to see family, I'm assuming.
Good to see family. Good to take in a Wild game. See some people there. See a little international hockey. Taking ESC International too. So had the old press pass to sit up in the box there, which was great. I had a chance to get down to the room and do all the post-game interviews, which was fun, and then chat with a bunch of the guys and see a bunch of the staff. And it was a great, I shouldn't say it was good. It was a great trip. It was a great trip, Tommy. So missed you guys coming back. Was pretty fired up that game on Wednesday, watching it. And Tommy, we're ready to go here again tonight.
I love how passionate you were the other night, and Gaedra and I were kind of laughing, and it was like, man, we need to get Cass on tonight to unload a little bit. But Oilers fans did a lot of that, so we saved it for tonight, Cass. And I know we could probably get a little bit into that game as well after we hit on Game Changers, but it is good to have you back. And if anyone has any questions or comments and wants to throw them at Cass, hit us up via the text line 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. We're keeping an eye on both of those. Cass, do you actually want to talk about last game first and then go into Game Changers, or how do you want to do it?
It's kind of woven in, I think.
Okay.
I think we'll get to some of it talking in Game Changers, and if there's anything else, we can unpack it after we get through them. But it's kind of woven in through there because a lot of what happened that Game 1 is going to kind of affects what we expect to see tonight, doesn't it?
Fair. I think so. Fair point. Absolutely fair point. So let's get into Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon Bunting is a consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton, and among Remax realtors, he and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at DamonBunting Real Estate. Cass, number one on Game Changers tonight: work and compete.
It is exactly what we heard from Jay Woodcroft talk about, big team meeting on Thursday morning, talking about effort level, talking about work level, talking about compete. And it's something that the Vancouver Canucks on Wednesday had a plethora of, and the Edmonton Oilers didn't have much at all. That first 5 minutes of that game was great, and then it just completely fell apart. And we really saw that Rick Tocchet style start to come out of the Vancouver Canucks. Aggressive, heavy forecheck, high pressure, high tempo, and the Edmonton Oilers just kind of flatlined. They flatlined, and they didn't do much. And and you never like to have a meeting on the second day of the regular season talking about your work ethic and your commitment, but that's exactly what happened. So what are they going to do tonight? How are they going to respond to that? How are they going to respond to knowing that in Game 1, usually one of the games when you have the most energy, you're the most excited, you're the most ready to go, and you just completely fizzled out. I mean, you would think this team has to respond tonight, Tommy. So for me, if they don't, I mean, I'm not freaking out. I know there's lots of people that are, and there's lots of people that are not, and they're like, oh, it's one game, let's not worry about it. And I'm kind of still in that camp where I'm like, okay, now that I had a day or two, I'm like, okay, it was just one game. But at the same time, we have pretty high expectations. They have pretty high expectations of themselves. So what response are we going to see? Want to see a really good response, want to see that energy, want to see that commitment to playing in your own zone, that work ethic in your own zone, doing the little things all over the ice, doing things right, Tommy, on a controlled breakout, because they completely fell apart when Vancouver would set up behind the net. They couldn't do anything, which is like, you should never be giving up grade A scoring chances off of a set controlled breakout, but they did. They managed to a couple of times, and one of them turned into a goal. So what type of work ethic and commitment are you bringing to this game tonight?
All right, that was number one in Game Changers. That was work and compete. Number two, Cass, bring the big guns.
To build on top of that, Draisaitl gets the goal in the power play, but the top two lines, really, for the Edmonton Oilers were completely non-existent. especially 5-on-5, completely non-existent. Still like that third line, that McLeod Fogle line. They had some jump with Janmark there too. They had some aggression. They controlled the play a little bit. Like I like that line. I thought that line played a good game. But the top guns, they didn't do so much. So, as long as McDavid and Draisaitl have had some time to recover from that Thursday night autograph session, hopefully their hands, they got some of the rust off of them in that autograph session, because, they need to start to bring it here. Like Vancouver's big guns performed. Quinn Hughes performed. Pettersson performed. Besser performed. Edmonton's did not. And I'm not worried about McDavid. I'm not worried about Draisaitl. I'm not concerned about their season or, expect them to not be able to produce offense or anything like that. But they didn't show up in game one. And a big game changer for me is, well, do they show up tonight? What does it take for them to show up tonight? When do we see them tonight actually play the way they need to? So big part of this one, as it will be for the rest of the 80 after this one. But the top dog, so McDavid and Draisaitl, what type of game are they bringing? Are they actually bringing that compete? Are they bringing that emotion? Are they bringing that drive that will not just, I don't want to say drag the team, but will push the team along with them?
It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Cassian, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting. Remax Elite. Number 1 was Work and Compete. Number 2 is Bring the Big Guns. Number 3, Cass, Ekholm-less.
Well, if I was going to, aside from the effort level, if I was going to pin that last game on something, Tom, it would have been the performance as a whole of the Edmonton Oilers defense without Matthias Ekholm, which is kind of like, you're like, ooh, I mean, this doesn't look great without him. And it certainly didn't. And we're going to have another game here. They're going to 12. It looks like they're going to 12-6. Looks like Vinny Desharnais comes out. Broberg stays in. That's what it apparently, and who knows, that could change post warm-up here. We'll see. But it looks like they're moving to that. And for that Edmonton Oilers defensive core, they need to be better without Ekholm. You have to find a way to play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Kulak, who I think has a lot of capacity and sometimes plays great. I mean, in the playoffs, he was one of the Oilers' better defensemen. He played fantastic. Was great in the first 5 minutes of the game. You jumped in, you saw some speed from him, creates an offensive chance. I was like, oh, he looks really good. And then he, tries to play bad shortstop, lets a pass through from when Pettersson passes back door. And you're kind of like, oh, what was that? And then Bouchard, makes a nice move to spin off some pressure on a forecheck, has a puck on his stick. And then instead of moving his feet, instead of establishing himself physically, instead of creating space with his body physically, just kind of leaves the puck sitting out there and gets stripped of it, and the puck's in the back of the net. And those are just 2 examples and just 2 guys. But really, it was everyone. Broberg was lost out there multiple times on the penalty kill and then 5-on-5 as well. Like, it just was a really, really poor game from the Edmonton Oilers defensemen. And, the score, I guess, kind of reflects that. And it's not like they got a ton of help from the forwards either. And there's some of those plays where the forwards were a little bit lost and a lot of puck watching going on and a lot of things that they weren't doing well. But Tommy, that defensive core without Ekholm, you got to be able to shut teams down a little bit, at least. You have to be able to limit your chances a little bit, at least. And they didn't do that in game one. Again, in a game typically where you feel there should be a lot of emotion and a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, it was just flat. It was just flat. So this defensive group without Ekholm has to find a way, even today. I mean, game 2, but you have to find a way to say, okay, no, you know what? Let's flush that first one and let's establish this right. Let's do things right. Let's play the right way. Let's make good defensive choices. And they didn't in game 1. Here we are, game 2. Let's see what this group has.
Cass, I said it on, I think, the Oil Stream on Friday, and it was, I think that this team is capable of being okay. Adequate is the term I think I used on defense without Matthias Ekholm. Others disagreed, and they said, oh, no, this is a telltale sign that this defense isn't good, and without Ekholm, it just collapses. But, like, I am of the mind that was a one-off the other night, and I am also of the mind that group, even without Matthias Ekholm, every now and then, if he gets banged up again or can't play, should be able to tread water for a few games.
Well, they weren't, Tommy, they didn't tread water in game one. They drowned.
Oh, they
in game
drowned
one.
quickly.
And are they
Oh, yeah.
capable of treading water? I think so. I think so. I still think I'm one of the ones that has the opinion that I don't like Nurse and Bouchard together. And the reason I
Agreed.
don't like them together is they're both offensive-minded defensemen. It's not the stable, steady guy, and then the guy that likes to rush the puck, jump into the play, and take a little bit more risk. You don't have that. You have two guys that are both on that offensive-minded. Now, Darnell Nurse, out of the two, at this point in his career, he should be able to increase that style or his capacity in a game to play more defensively, to shut off a little bit of that. No, I need to create offense here and just play good defense.
Mhm.
I don't think they're horrible without Matthias Ekholm, but he does make them way better. So
Yeah.
they are going to have to find a way to, as you said, because I think it is tread water. Like I do without him, to be where it's like, okay, you know what, we probably aren't going to be as good defensively without him in the lineup, but we need to
No.
be reasonable. We need to be reasonable. And we didn't get that in game one. Now you may be right, Tommy. That could be a write-off. It could just be so bad that you just forget it. But I understand if fans are looking at this and going like, ooh, this doesn't look very good, because it didn't look very good.
Right.
And I don't want to say, the whole fool me once, fool me twice, shame on you, shame on me, whatever sort of thing. But I mean, like, what would you say, Tommy, if they come out of this again here and they have another stinker from a defensive standpoint? What would that sway your opinion at all?
Yeah, I'd be like, uh-oh, especially if there's nothing learned from what they didn't do the other night. Like, you have to have the right response tonight, Cass. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. You have to just go out there and you have to execute properly, pay attention to whatever meetings they had, and then put pen to paper and make it happen on the ice. Like, if they go and lay an egg, I'm going, what the hell's wrong with this defense? What the hell's wrong with this team if they do that again tonight?
Well, if there's no emotion, if there's no energy, without question, you're going, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Because you just had your season opener on the road and you had nothing. And if you come out again and have nothing and it's a stinker, then oof, yeah, you're I think, yeah, I would be freaking out too. Maybe
Yeah.
freaking out is the right word, but I would be extremely, extremely concerned.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I
No,
think
I
they're
don't
going to
think
have a
so either.
much better performance. I think they're embarrassed about what happened, and despite Draisaitl making little wisecracks about getting smacked and how it's good to do so every now and then, I think that they're going to be a much better team tonight. Let's dip into the nasty chat. If you want to get in on the conversation and you're watching, you can do so. We'll read some of these. I know there's a conversation happening amongst some of the nasties that are watching. We appreciate that. And if you want to text in 780-218-9999, if you're just listening to the audio stream. This one says, and it's from Lance, I have zero concern. Bad games happen. They will win more than they lose this year. Looking forward to it being a cup year. Thank you for that, Lance. Appreciate it. This one from Ben says, first goal is huge. Jerry says, it's one game. No need to be concerned. This team has too much talent to be that bad every night. I expect a good start to the game, and that starts with McDavid. Speaking of Connor McDavid, Cass, a little bit of the chatter is about how he wasn't too pleased with the Canucks rolling out power play one. I thought that was kind of a throwaway thing. I didn't really think that he was whining too much about it. I think the question was asked, and he just kind of like, yeah, that was interesting, but I think it's being a bit overblown. Is that fair to say?
Probably a little bit. Now, if that adds some fuel to the fire, great for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, if that adds a little bit of screw you mentality in their game tonight, fine. I mean, take it and run with it in your dressing room. I mean, overall, I kind of look at it as an analyst, just like Damon Bunting analyzes the real estate market as it's going. And I'm looking at it and I'm going like, well, I mean, the start of the season, if you're Rick Tocchet, you're trying to get your power play going. They're having a night. and you're trying to build that confidence and that momentum early and get them the reps in. So yeah, roll your PP1 out there. Absolutely. I would have done it too. Without question, I would have done it. And does that chap some guys? Sure, that kind of chaps some guys a little bit, but really to me, it's a nothing burger. Now, with that being said, McDavid does obviously recognize it, does make a comment about it. And again, if you're looking at this, or if I'm a coaching staff and I'm looking at this in the Edmonton locker room, yeah, maybe I bring that up before the game today. Maybe I do. I don't, not going to dwell on it. Not going to talk about it a ton, but maybe a little comment about that comes up in that, hey, these guys spanked us 8-1 and they're still rolling their PP. Like they PP1, they're spanking us. They're up like 6 goals and they're rolling their first power play unit out.
Yeah.
Like screw these guys. Let's go. Like there could be a little bit of that, and it's not going to be the single rallying cry, I don't think, but could it maybe find its way into a comment or two? Absolutely.
Well, now that you mention that, I go back to what Jay Woodcroft said on Thursday when he was the only one to speak to us in the media and gave his team the day off from practice, if you will. Some guys skated, but I think it was a total deflection play by Jay, smart, if you will. And he said, you know what, we'll put that in our memories, and we'll somewhere down the road remember it, and maybe it comes up again.
Well, I think it comes up now.
You think it comes up now? He's not shying away from it. That was what caught me off guard.
Like, why?
I was like,
Tom,
oh, okay.
You're not gonna you play these guys. It's a home and home. Like you're not gonna wait like a month and then be like, hey, remember that time? Like it's not a big enough moment. It's not like you had someone headhunt McDavid where it's like, yeah, in 3 months, 4 months you could come back and be like, hey, remember when? Like, I mean, you're probably not gonna have the same emotional reaction to it in a month or 2 months or 3 months as you would in a couple days to be like, hey, remember what these guys did the other day? And again, like, I don't think you overly dwell on it. You don't want to make it the singular focus. But I mean, if I'm Woodcroft, as I said, I'm slipping a line out there to be like, hey, remember what these guys did the other night. I mean, that's like going to be like your closing comment before the team goes on the ice, right? Like, hey, you do a starting lineup, be like, hey, whatever, your rah-rah speech, and be like, remember what these guys did the other night too. Let's stick it to them. Like, I mean, that's what you're going to go with. And
I like that.
Well, that I don't want to say I would guarantee it because there's a chance he doesn't, but pretty good chance that comes up. Again, not the singular focus. Do I think it was a big deal? No, not at all. Is it something you can grab onto a little bit to try to say, okay, we were really flat and unemotional on Wednesday. Let's bring a little bit more heat? For sure.
Yeah. I like this. Via our inbox, Dave from Burnaby. I like how we're getting Canucks fans.
Oh, there's a ton. The YouTube stream, there's Canucks fans all over the place, and they don't like me because the Vancouver media hated me. Yeah.
Well, it's all good, Cass. It's all good. Water under the bridge, pal. But I like, and you know what? They came over and watched the post-game show the other night, and they were chirping. The best was they were chirping Gager for wearing his leather jacket. They don't understand that when Gager wears leather, the Oilers play better. And Gager used that jacket and the power of positivity, if you will, from an Oilers standpoint last season on the Sportsnet broadcast. And so he brought it in the other night. He wore it with the tie, and some dude from Vancouver's like, how could you tell he's from Edmonton? The guy's wearing a leather jacket with a tie. And I was like, Gager, I got this. And I replied to the guy on the air. I'm like, joke's on you. He's from Kitsilano. So it kind of worked out nice. But we like having all fans, and it doesn't matter what city or team that they cheer for, as long as they're watching and listening and enjoying the show and being courteous to other viewers and listeners. That's all that matters. But Dave from Burnaby says, at some point, Canucks are going to turn. Are they the new Chicago? They could be. Demko, Vezina, Hart, Selke, Pedersen, Norris, Hughes, Miller, 100 points. Kuzmenko, 40 goals. Besser looks like he's arrived. I don't think Edmonton should be worried. It's possible the NHL should be worried, but will Vancouver take that next step? We'll see tonight. Dave Burnaby. Dave Burnaby, thank you. What say you, Matt Cassian?
Well, I think the Vancouver Canucks are going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. Should the league be worried? And the
Dave from Burnaby says,
yeah, the interesting thing with the Vancouver Canucks is you have some of those pieces, and we talk about like the major pieces you need to be an elite team, and they have some of those. So you have the absolute stud defenseman, you have a good goaltender. Now where you kind of go, your question marks are like JT Miller. Your question marks are like, okay, and Besser, I mean, looks after game one, you can't say he's not off to a great start this season, but can he improve his play and get back to the goal scoring ways and to be a all-star quality caliber player? Pedersen, if he plays as engaged as he did on Wednesday, well, he's an elite level talent. So you have kind of those two top guys to play in your top two lines. So you kind of go, okay, well, they have some pieces there. They have some pieces there. Now, the big question I think for Vancouver down the stretch will be, do they have the depth to support that in order to take that next step and get to that elite level? And that's where I don't know. They have some of the top end talent, but do they have enough depth to be able to do it and to consistently be able to play the way they need to? I'm not sure, but regardless of that, I'm not there's a one poster on the YouTube that keeps hammering the Canucks for President's Trophy. That's not going to happen. But will they be a much better team this year, playing a much more disciplined style? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And teams better not take them lightly. You can't take them lightly. I mean, look, Edmonton took them lightly and they absolutely rolled them. So,
yes.
I mean, I'm not buying in completely to what was it Burnaby Joe, Burnaby something, whoever from Burnaby.
Dave and Burnaby.
Dave
yeah.
and Burnaby. Burnaby Joe would have been a good one too. That'd be a good nickname.
That's
but
good
Dave
name,
and Burnaby, I'm not completely disregarding it because I think there's some great pieces there. And they're going to be a much better team this year. I don't quite think they're at that next step level.
All right. We got a message via the nasty chat from Evil Twin says, who's the starter? I have not been online today. Evil Twin, today it will be Stuart Skinner and Casey DeSmith in goal for the Oilers and Canucks respectively. Cass, surprised that Skinner's getting the nod, or do you think that Jay Woodcroft going with Skinner tonight's the right move?
I think this was always the plan, and they just stuck with the plan. I think the plan was, Campbell had a little bit of a better preseason, so he started game one, but they probably went to them and said, hey, you're both going to split game one, game two. And with the reason being that you want to get both guys in, you want to build some confidence and you want some of that competition, but to say, hey, for both of them, like, yep, Campbell, you were better. You get game one. And Skinner, you're going to get game two, and we're going to get you both in, and we're going to get rolling. So I'm not overly surprised by it. Now, the conversations you have, which I wouldn't be surprised if they're having with Jack Campbell, need to be that this wasn't based on your play. This wasn't based on your play. And that's probably, right. Again, they would have communicated that, or should have communicated it before the season opened, to say, hey, Campbell, you got game one. Stewie, you got game two. Let's roll with it. That's, regardless of what happens, this is the plan. We're going to stick to it. And that's most likely what happened, Tommy.
Okay, fair point. Another text came in via the nasty chat that said, and it's from Cousin Vinny, great alias, by the way. Oilers, still a one-dimensional team, no defense. Cass, what would you say to Cousin Vinny?
I don't think they're completely one-dimensional, but they are an offensive-driven team.
True.
I mean, you have McDavid and Draisaitl, so yeah, you're going to win more games by outscoring your opponents than by playing the best defense. That's how your team is built. So, are they totally one-dimensional? No. Do they lean to that one dimension? Of course. Why? They have two of the best offensive players in the world. So you're going to naturally, Tommy. I mean, now for Edmonton, the challenge will be, especially without Ekholm, as we've already talked about, is going to be overcoming that a little bit. But yeah, your natural gravity is towards that. It's just how your team is built. And if they want to win in the playoffs, well, they have to overcome that. And we've seen them do it at times. It just hasn't quite been enough. And they have, as we have talked about many times, and we talked about it last year all the time, they have at times the issue of trying to outscore their mistakes. And if this is a team where they can cut down on some of those mistakes and they don't have to outscore them, well, then they're going to be absolutely dominant. And that one dimension isn't as much of an issue. But there's I mean, Tommy, there's a little bit of truth in that, which they're going to be an offensive team. But here's the rub, Tommy. Guess what you have to do to win hockey games?
Work your butt off?
Well, yes, but How do you win hockey
Score
games?
goals.
You
Score
score
goals,
more
Cass.
goals than the other team.
Yes, that's right.
So every team has to be a little bit more offensive minded and have that. But are the Oilers completely one dimensional? No. Do they thrive off the one dimension? Yes. Should they thrive off the one dimension? Absolutely, because that's what you have in your players. It's just about then overcoming the challenges or the areas where you're not quite as strong.
All right, a couple of comments to get to. Jason drops one just now. Says you have to run this team like Thrawnwood. Stick to the plan. The plan is good. There will be losses along the way, but in the end, they will come out on top. What am I missing on Thrawn?
That's a solid Star Wars reference, Jason.
Oh,
Thanks for the Star Wars. So for those that may be not as familiar, Thrawn is like he's a bad guy, but he's very, very smart, and he's very much a tactician. In that you don't waste resources, you don't get away from the plan, you just stick to what you're supposed to do, stick to what the plan is, and you're going to have success. That's the mantra. So I get it. I get the reference. Good Star Wars reference. I love it, Jason.
Love that you were able to pick me up on that one. Good teamwork there. Cass, I want to get your thoughts on Ben's question. What is the main message from Woodcroft to the players before this game?
Work. Compete. Yep. That's it. Effort, energy. You are saying, I mean, you're looking at this going, okay, home opener. You were flat season opener.
Yep.
You got blown out. What are you going to do? Who are you?
Play angry, man.
Who are you? Yeah. Who are you? What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? I mean, that's what team are we going to be? That's what you're saying. And really it comes down to that killer instinct, that commitment, that desire. If you wind it up in my favorite word, Tommy, you know what I'm going to say? Starts with an I. Can you give it to me?
Intentionality.
That's what you got to be. And I mean, he may not use that word in the dressing room, but that's what you're going to be running with.
Hey, game 1 and you're dropping intentionality. I like it, Cass. That means the season is back, baby. And you're back. So great stuff as always, my friend. What kind of game are you expecting? I'll throw that at you to wrap up Game Changers.
Yeah, I do really expect them to come out, Tommy, and come out swinging. And to I mean, I don't want to say it scares me, but the part that interests me or intrigues me is how long they swing.
Okay.
Like, is it going to be a wire to wire 60 minutes? Because I think their first period is going to be a good period, but you're going to get some resistance. Again, this is not the same Vancouver Canucks team. It's a way more aggressive team that likes to put pressure on you, which can challenge you. I mean, teams that pressure the Oilers defensemen with a really aggressive and well-structured forecheck can give them problems. And that's what Vancouver did. So can you bring enough of that consistency and energy and intentionality to overcome that? So I think you're going to see, that first 5, 10, 15 minutes, I think you're going to see a massive push from Edmonton. But the tell, Tommy, is going to be what happens in the second period, what happens in the third period. That's where it's going to be. Okay, well, I don't know what we're going to see. I think we're going to see that first 20 minutes, they're going to come out guns blazing. And then after that, I don't know yet, because I don't know this team. We haven't seen enough of them to know yet.
We'll find out a little bit more about them tonight. Cass, fantastic work on the pregame show. We'll catch up with you as always on the postgame show.
Absolutely, buddy. Look forward to it.
That is our game analyst, Matt Cassian, with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Go check out DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. If you are looking to buy or sell your home, Damon is an absolutely awesome dude. I can say that personally. He's a great guy, and he will treat you right and make sure he finds the right home for you, or is able to get the price you want on your place if you're looking to sell. All right, I'm going to go through the lineup one more time, and then we're going to go into the coaches' room and then hear from the players as well. Here's what we're projecting from the Oilers tonight. When it comes to their lineup, McDavid between Kane and Brown, Draisaitl centering Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, McLeod with Holloway and Fogle, and then you've got Ryan, Janmark, and Adam Ernie making his Oilers debut tonight, signing a 2-way contract for 1 year at a league minimum. Ernie earning that 12th forward spot, and so 12 forwards will go tonight. We're not going to see 11-6 or 11-7. Doesn't seem like Ekholm and Bouchard, Nurse with Ceci, Kulak with Broberg is the expected pairings. Desharnais would be the lone man out. If there's any changes, we will get you up to speed as the team hits the ice for warm-up. As for the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson between Andrei Kuzmenko and Connor Garland, JT Miller with Philip DiGiuseppe and Brock Besser. That line had a field day the other night. Pius Suter with Dakota Joshua and Anthony Beauvillier. Sam Lafferty centering Nils Höglander and Jack Studnicka. On defense for the Canucks, Quinn Hughes with Philip Hronek, Ian Cole with Tyler Myers, and Akito Hiroshi, great name, with Noah Juleson. No Ilya Mikheyev, no Guillaume Brisebois, no Teddy Bluger, and no Carson Soucy for Vancouver. Starting goalies, 24-year-old Stuart Skinner for the Oil, making his second appearance of the year. Of course, came on in relief of Jack Campbell on Wednesday, 4 goals on 16 shots, just like Jack Campbell. As for the Canucks, we also saw Casey DeSmith the other night when Thatcher Demko looked like he wasn't feeling too good and had to rush to the Canucks room with 10 minutes left in the third period. DeSmith, the 32-year-old, had a 15-16-4 record with a .317 goals against average, .905 save percentage in 38 games last year with the Penguins. DeSmith versus the Oil, 0-1, .341 GAA, 918 save percentage in 3 appearances against Edmonton. As for Skinner, 1-1 against Vancouver, .395 goals against average, .865 save percentage in those 3 appearances for the young Oilers netminder. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999 if you're listening, or if you're watching on the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel, you can join the conversation via the Nasty Chat. And without further ado, it's time to go into the coach's room. Let's hear from Jay Woodcroft.
Comfort food to put Matthias Ekholm's name on the lineup card, and if so, why?
Whoa, I've never heard that before, Reed. Let me go write that down. I mean, he's a good hockey player. It's always a good day when you can return someone of his caliber to the lineup. We're excited that he's feeling up to it, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Adam Ernie got a contract yesterday. Just kind of what you saw from him. Maybe just not the fact that how he played, but he sort of had to play that waiting game and stay in it that way as well.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know much about Adam before he came to camp here. Obviously scouts had a high opinion of him. I thought he had a good camp, and just given some of the dynamics of the roster situation, he's been patient. And I know in chatting with him, he's excited to be a part of our team, part of our city, part of our organization here, and we're looking forward to having him be part of our team.
Morning, Jay.
Morning.
Just to follow up on Ernie, what's it like as a head coach seeing a player earn his spot on an NHL organization?
Well, I think the NHL, what they say, it's a hard thing to get to this league, but it's an even harder thing to stay in this league. So I think most players earn their spot. But given his situation, obviously he's played in the NHL in 2 different organizations, and for him to come to camp with a little bit of uncertainty heading into his own personal situation, I saw someone play some games with some desperation. He, in the coach's room, we said, he looks like someone that's trying to feed his family to earn a contract. And, he did some good things there, and we're excited he's part of our organization.
And going back to Matthias Ekholm, we all know his on-ice capabilities, but what kind of a presence does he have just being on the bench, being around the guys in intermission?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to Reed's question. Anytime you're returning a veteran of his caliber, and when I say caliber, it's not just on the ice, it's off the ice too. He says the right things, he does the right things, he has an effect on others. He's, not having him for the last month or so, you felt it, and we're excited that he's back.
Hey, Jay, staying on that topic, would you ease him in tonight, or do you just say to him, you play however many minutes you feel comfortable?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how he handles things. I think it's important to keep some things in perspective. Missing training camp is not ideal for anybody, regardless of the caliber of player. But I think he's put a lot of good work in. I think we did right by the player by not forcing him into a situation he wasn't ready for. He's done a lot of really good rehab work with our medical department. And, I know he's excited. We'll see what happens, DVD.
All right, there you go. There is Jay Woodcroft from the coach's room in regard to tonight's game. So Adam Ernie earning a spot. Looks like he'll make his Oilers debut tonight. And then Matthias Ekholm looks like he should be ready to rock. If there's any changes, we will pass them along your way. Let's go back inside the Oilers locker room, and we're going to actually hear from Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah, it's definitely it's nice, to be able to tell my family they can come and get settled in here. It's a super special group here, and I'm just excited to get started tonight.
What was the waiting game like for you, even a few days after the preseason until the deal was finalized?
Yeah, they told me that they wanted me to stick around. They had some stuff they had to figure out with the cap, which is kind of out of everybody's control. But I'm just happy to be playing tonight.
Yeah, tough to watch that game the other night, even as a spectator.
Yeah, obviously you want to be out there, but at the same time, it's one game, and you got to turn the page, and all you can do is play tonight. And luckily, we get to play them again, so get another shot at them.
Adam, coming in here, I guess obviously it's tough when you come in after 2. I'm not sure what were your goals coming in here? How were you going to impress the Oilers?
I had a lot of conversations with my agent and coaches and management, and just what that they felt like they were missing and needed, and I felt like naturally that's just what I provide. So I just tried to play my game, be really good on the PK defensive side of things, and just be physical and. Like I said, just kind of stick to my game.
You're coming to a team where 11 of the 12 forward spots were pretty much set. I guess. So you look at that going, okay, there's not a lot of opportunity. There's an opportunity, but not a lot coming in here.
Yeah, obviously this is a special group, and they have something good going here. But like I said, they feel like they're missing a piece or two, and just hoping I can bring that to the table.
Obviously, we're happy with your preseason.
Yeah, it was good. These guys have been here for a while, practicing skating, and it shows. I'm familiar with the systems that they're introducing. It's kind of what we ran in Detroit and in Tampa. So obviously a little bit of a learning curve, but for the most part, kind of worked out.
There you go. That's Adam Ernie, not Matthias Ekholm. All good there. That's my bad, YouTube Trev. My bad. We will also hear from Rick Tocchet right away. And people in the nasty chat saying, how the heck are you talking in the nasty chat while talking on the air? I kind of did this when we were at 1260 as well. I would text people while I'm chatting, but now you can actually see it via the nasty chat with this YouTube channel as well. So yeah, it's kind of fun, bit of a scramble, but certainly enjoy it. Not that hard, but keeps you on your toes as you work your way through the show. All right. I think we're going to go inside the Canucks locker room, and then we'll go over lineups once again, and then get to any other texts and chat in the nasty chat that we see pop up. All right. So YouTube Trev, if we got it, let's hear from Vancouver Canucks head coach Rick Tocchet.
Oilers are working hard to forget that game on Wednesday. I'm assuming you guys are doing the same thing and moving past it.
Yeah, we moved past it yesterday, so it's over for us.
Yeah. I just want to ask you about Brock Besser and just how happy the group was for him, and just to see him, like the struggles last year, and just to see him get off to the start he was this year.
Yeah, he's really taken to heart some of the stuff that we thought he had to do this summer and how to play the game, and he's done it. Now it's a long way to go.
Yeah.
There's 81 more games, so now the hard part is doing it every night.
It looks like he was getting in the right spots. He's taking those opportunities. Is that part of it? Is just finding yourself in those spots and those pockets, I guess? Yeah,
there's the guys have to understand there's goals around those areas. You're going to have to put some more ice bags during the year, but it's worth it, right? And there's 6 or 7 lying around there. You got to go find them. And he grabbed a couple last game by being in that area. I'm sure the others are going to be talking about that. So it's a will of attrition. You got to go back in there.
What did you like defensively from your game against Edmonton, and maybe overall how you see your defensive style working?
Well, I think we made a few mistakes there, and we didn't duplicate the next mistake. I think that's what I've really worked on with this team. Is it's a game of hockey. Hockey is a game of mistakes, but if we don't duplicate it, so you can still stay in structure. If a guy's out of position, we still protected the house. So I think that's something we really worked on. That helped us last game. Because it's hard to contain some of those guys. Obviously, McDavid's incredible. Somebody might make a wrong read, but can the other 4 guys hold the fort till that guy's mistake can get back to help out? I guess that's really what it comes down to.
You tinker with the lineups at all, or do you just keep rolling with the momentum from others?
Yeah, it's pretty well the only healthy guys we got. So, they say you never change a winning lineup too. I heard that too sometimes.
Any update on Carson Soucy?
Yeah, he had a good day today. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. He's still out there actually pushing and shoving. So, he's day to day, I think.
With Demko with the flu the other night,
Yeah.
Did it go through the team, or is that something you guys kind of kept him away, or it's always tough when
Yeah.
guy gets the flu.
Well, we had about 7-8 guys go through it. So Denver was hopefully he's the last guy.
Yeah.
He obviously got some rest the other day. He's on the ice now. But and quite frankly, we were going to get Casey DeSmith in here, whether it was tonight or the next game. He's had a really good camp, and he deserves to play too.
Yeah.
What was your message to the group this morning, just to make sure that they don't get complacent? I know that they all feel they want to come out early, but what do you say to them, and what's the balance as a coach?
Well, it's a big test for us, right? We have to play uncomfortable tonight. This is it's a game everybody wants to see. They want to see what the Oilers do, and they want to see what we do. And it's one of those games. Each individual has to prepare themselves. They know the game plan, and that's really what it comes down to. It's that game's over. It's one win. So I think sometimes we're all blown out of proportion, even on their side. I mean, I'm sure they're upset, but there's 81 games left.
We talked a lot about defense by committee in the preseason. Saw a pretty healthy dose of Quinn Hughes with Filip Hronek. How much of that had to do with having the matchup advantage at home, and do you think it'll change at all on the road?
Well, I think Footy does a nice job. He's going to have to mix and match. I'm sure they're going to play together a lot tonight, but they're also going to have to split them up every once in a while until we get some healthy bodies back. So I thought the other guys held the fort. But obviously, offensively, we get more puck possession time when they're together. I mean, when you're out there as forwards, you're going to get the puck on your stick, or you're going to get some chances around net, so you might as well take advantage of it.
A lot of people have called your second line the PB and J line. Your thoughts?
Yeah, is that? Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I didn't even know they called them that.
The goals are obviously nice from that line, but how impressed were you with their play without the puck?
Yeah, it's carried over from last year. When I put those guys together, they're a very consistent line. They play the north-south style. Obviously, Giuseppe's done a nice job of being a forechecker. We were weak on the forecheck last year, and we acquired some guys that can get on the forecheck. Teddy Bluger. We need guys that can stop pucks. Create piles. Not, where sometimes when you're late and you play teams like Edmonton, they run and you're dead. So those guys can stop pucks and stop piles, and that can help us, slow down their attack.
Did you get a chance to see Puck Colson last night? It's 2 goals in Abbotsford.
No, I heard he played really well, and Amon scored. So, Bain's like another huge prospect for us. He had 3 or 4 points, so that's nice to see on opening night too. They worked hard in camp, and it's a carryover. It's really good to see for us.
There you go. There is Vancouver Canucks head coach Rick Tocchet. They put that win behind them, and he anticipates the Oilers put that loss behind them. We'll see what happens tonight on the ice at Rogers Place in about 25, 30 minutes time. Late puck drop with the opening ceremony for the Oilers home opener tonight. I don't know what they have in store. There was concerts that rolled through Edmonton the last couple of nights, so didn't really get to see much of what they were putting together for fans that will be at the game tonight. So we'll see. It'll be a surprise for everyone, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job with that. Out-of-town scores really quickly for those that care. Austin Matthews has another hat trick. So that's hat tricks in back-to-back games for Matthews. The Leafs lead the Wild 7-3, 5 minutes left in the third. Pittsburgh up 4-2 on Calgary. That game just about over, 45 seconds left. Montreal up 3-1 on Connor Bedard, Taylor Hall, and the Chicago Blackhawks. Detroit beats Tampa 6-4. You got Columbus over New York 5-3. They also honored one-time Blue Jacket Jonathan Quick with a tribute video. They actually trolled him, but Quick was a good sport about it and waved to the crowd. Boston 3-2 over Nashville, and Winnipeg 6-4 over Florida. 5-2. The Sens beat the Flyers earlier today. Still underway. It is 2-2 in Long Island, or on Long Island, I should say. Sabres and Islanders, 11 minutes left in the third there. 1-1 St. Louis and Seattle after 2 periods of play. We're about to get to Edmonton and Vancouver. Colorado's at San Jose. Anaheim's at Vegas. And then the late game tonight is Carolina visiting the LA Kings. All right, YouTube Trev, rock solid, learning on the fly, doing great work. actually got Matthias Ekholm for us. So let's hear from the Viking.
Have to endure the injury through the preseason, even missing the tonight's game. How do you feel?
No, I feel pretty good. I mean, it's been, since I talked to you guys last time, it's been, again, progress again. And I think at that point I had a really good week. And then after that, it's been trending in the right direction. So, yeah, I'm happy it's getting close.
What's the longest you've ever been out before? Is there any comparison or anything you've been on this summer?
Well, the minors was a lockout year, like 11, 12, 13, something like that. I broke my ankle, so I have been out. But it's different when you're out the preseason and you're trying to get ready and all that. So I guess that's been both good and bad. You don't want to miss games, whether it's preseason or regular season, but at least they don't matter as much. So that have probably helped it a little bit. But at the same time, it's about to get ready now, so that takes a little bit of both mental and physical aspect of it. So, but I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to get back in there.
Difficult to be a spectator the other night?
Yes, very. Yeah, that's always the worst. I think, knock on woods, but I think in my career I've not missed too many games in the last 10 years, so I'm not very used to that. You feel pretty helpless and just watch it, but hopefully it won't be too long till I can get back in there.
Is this an injury you have to monitor, or are you beyond it now? Is it all over? Or do you kind of have to monitor?
No, growing is not like you break a bone, it's healing and then it's fine. It's something you'll have to monitor. I'm sure for I've never had it before, so I'm probably the wrong guy to ask, but I would be shocked if it just was one day and it's 100% and it's all over and then never coming back. But for now, it's obviously going to be there for a little bit, and whenever I get back in there, it's going to be, I'm sure, a little bit of it too.
Do you have to ease your way in, or can you go right away?
I don't know. I was talking to some of those with the trainers too, and I get that part, but I feel like at the same time, I'm old and I'm not used to playing 12, 13 minutes. I think that would be probably even a more challenge, because when it's a muscle thing, you kind of want to keep it warm and you want to just keep going. When you sit for too long, that's when it kind of stiffens up and it's harder. So I think a matter of not too much easing in, but I mean, you got to be obviously aware and cognizant of when you need to practice and when you can maybe don't go on the ice, just to kind of give it some rest. But we'll take that as we go.
There you go. There's Matthias Ekholm, who looks like he's ready to go tonight, making his season debut for the Oilers. A big boost to the back end for the Oil. All right, we're going to dip into the nasty chat as well as the inbox as we close things out tonight, as we get set for the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. Of course, join us on the post-game show following the Oilers and Canucks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. You can listen via the audio stream, or you can watch right here on the EST YouTube channel. Spruce Grove Corey chimes in and says, "Hey, it's Spruce Grove Corey. We need to get Tommy some Love Pro Wrestling merch to help fill in the shelves." Yes, this is a work in progress. I am working on it right now, and we'll get it all decorated nicely. I think I'm going to add some more books to this thing, but yeah, it's new, it's fresh, and we'll get stuff in both of those empty cubbies, indeed, and I'll add more than mini helmets on one side, and actually, I think I could stack those up. Anyway, Spruce Grove Corey, appreciate the keen eye on this backdrop that we've got when I'm doing shows from the satellite studios. A couple people asking if we plan on doing viewer watch parties, or if we're going to show reaction videos. I know YouTube Trev would be hilarious to watch. Trev, you're getting a lot of praise and love via the nasty chat. Do you want to hop on here and tell people what your game routine is when things are going poorly for the team?
Yeah. I just want to say the chat it's been really good all show long. So keep the comments coming, guys. As for my routine, yeah, I don't know. I just the other game we were having a lot of fun watching it. It was pretty stressful, but ultimately, I just try to enjoy it as much as I can, even when the Oilers don't win, and that's kind of what I go to.
Yeah, and then I think, is Iwanek there? Does Iwanek want to talk to us, doing like a us streaming us watching the game, like a reaction video? Like, is that a thing that we're going to do, Matthew?
It's coming. It's in the works. It'll happen.
Oh, okay. There you go. I think that was, who was saying that? Ryan was asking about it, and Kevin, they were talking about it. So looks like we're going to do one of those or a few of those, and that should be a lot of fun. I'm assuming for road games, Matty?
Most likely. We could do it for a home game if we wanted to.
Yeah, I guess we could. But that's cool. A lot of new things that we can do with this different format that we couldn't do before. And it's been a lot of fun kind of discovering the nuances of it. So, yeah, that's something that looks like is going to happen. So there you go, Ryan and Kevin. That is in the works. I learned something new today as well. All right, let's take one last look at the lineups for tonight. If you have any thoughts heading into this game and you want to drop us a line before we wrap up the show, 780-218-9999, or you could hit us up in the nasty chat via the EST YouTube channel as the Oilers seek their first victory of this fresh new season. McDavid will center Kane and Brown, Draisaitl with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Then you've got McLeod centering Holloway and Fogle. So good to see Dylan Holloway is okay after blocking that shot in Vancouver on Wednesday night. That was a scary incident, and the young man is good to go for this one. Third line is that McLeod, Holloway, Fogle line. The fourth line, Ryan, Janmark, and Adam Ernie, who you saw and heard from earlier on. Ernie signing a two-way league minimum contract with the Oilers, and he will make his Oilers debut tonight to add a little bit of grit and sandpaper to that fourth line and in that bottom six. And then on defense, you saw Matthias Ekholm speak, and you heard him speak as well. He will be paired up with Evan Bouchard, Nurse with CC, Kulak with Broberg, Desharnais, the lone man out. As for the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson with Andrei Kuzmenko and Connor Garland, JT Miller with Philip Di Giuseppe and Brock Besser. The Oilers will try to shut that line down because it had a big night in Van on Wednesday. On to the third line we go. Pius Suter with Dakota Joshua and Anthony Beauvillier. And then the fourth line, Sam Lafferty with Nils Höglander and Jack Studnicka. On defense for Vancouver, Quinn Hughes with Philip Hronek, Ian Cole with Tyler Myers, Akito Hirose with Noah Juleson. Out for the Canucks, Ilya Mikheyev, Guillaume Brisebois, Teddy Bluger, and Carson Soucy. You heard Rick talking about his guys going through the flu and dealing with that, and he figures that they're coming out of it okay. But the guys that are not playing are banged up, and they're running with the healthy players they have available tonight. Both teams, of course, dressing 11 forwards and 6 defensemen on Wednesday, which is something we don't really see at all. So there you go. Cap and injuries getting in the way of both clubs the other night. As for starting goalies, it will be 24-year-old Stuart Skinner for the Oilers. 29, 14, and 5 was his record last season. 2.75 GAA, 914 save percentage, 1 shutout in 65 games for the Calder finalist. He is 1-1 lifetime versus the Canucks with a 395 GAA, 865 save percentage in 3 appearances versus Vancouver. And at the other end of the rink, 32-year-old Casey DeSmith getting the nod for Vancouver. 15, 16, and 4 was DeSmith with the Penguins last year. 317 GAA, 905 save percentage in 38 appearances in 2022, 2023. His record, DeSmith's versus Edmonton, 0-1, lifetime, 341 GAA, 918 save percentage in 3 career appearances. All right, you know what? Let's bring YouTube Trev back on. Trev, what's your prediction for the game tonight?
Sorry, I missed that, Tommy. What was that?
What's your prediction?
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I was telling my buddy earlier today. I'm thinking 5-1. I think the boys will be. I think the boys will be back. I just hope they come out, strong, lights out, and they just play a consistent game. That's something we haven't really seen a heck of a whole lot. Well, it's just one game, right? But like a consistent 60 minutes, 5-1. I think the Oilers they're gonna be just raring to go, and I can't wait to watch. So 5-1. You heard it here first, guys.
Wow, bold. YouTube Trev's feeling good on a Saturday night. We hope you are too. And huge thank you to everyone who watched on our EST YouTube channel. Huge thank you to everyone who joined the conversation, whether it is in the nasty chat or via our text line. As always, we highly encourage you to share your thoughts and opinions. And we look forward to doing it later on in the evening after the Oilers take on the Canucks. Win or lose, we'll break it all down, and we want to hear from you. So drop a thumbs up on our video if you're watching via YouTube. And if you're listening, we appreciate that. And we look forward to catching up with you following the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. This has been the Oil Stream pregame show. Thank you as always. For YouTube Trev, Matthew Wanek, and Matty Cassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the game. Ciao for now.